I was kind of like in hamster wheel mode. Got married young, now divorced, but went through life, did what everybody said I was supposed to do. But I was in that hamster wheel, right? So 2008, I was laying like on the couch. And I remember it must have been an eagle because like the wings like made shadows. And I remember looking up and I was like, what is it? I wonder what it feels like to just be free like that and fly. You know what I mean? I literally said that. Fast forward, I think maybe 6 months later, I enrolled into the University of Phoenix. And someone just told me, they read one of my features last week, and they're like, Janice, how ironic is it you saw a bird and then you became a phoenix? I was like, I didn't even think that. Like, this just the journey just does not lie. You know what I mean? And from there, I've been able to do the things that that I'm doing now. But that's how the journey started. And there's more along the way. I know we'll get into it, but it was like literally saw a bird and became a phoenix. I was like, oh my gosh. Talk about connecting the dots.
Hello and welcome to the Degrees of Success podcast. I'm your host, Frida Richards, and today we have an incredible guest, Janice DaCosta. Not only is she an incredible author with many books under her belt and more to come, but she's also a mindfulness wellness coach. And we're going to hear way more about her coming from her directly. Janice, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I feel like I said the title wrong. Tell me again. It's not a mindfulness coach. It is
Mind shift advocate, but it's all the same. It's all the same.
It is. We practice at least 4 times. So regardless, you tell me. You're the best to introduce yourself. So for those who do not know you yet, but have the honor to meet you now, tell us more about yourself, how you'd introduce yourself, and your mission.
So my mission is everything I do is all about transformation. It's all about making a meaningful impact and watching people transform. And it's all about the journey. So everything I do, it's all under that umbrella. And so I call myself the Mind Shift Advocate, and I help people transform, not just with food, but with mindfulness. And I just take them on a journey, and it's a never ending journey, lifelong learners. So that is the heart of everything I do around the books and the podcasts and the websites, is to make meaningful impact, transformation, and help people along the journey while I'm still on my own.
Well, you're still on the journey yourself. So
Yeah.
where did the passion and the drive come from wanting to help others in this way?
The core is that it's personal, because I was on the other side trying to get myself out of, kind of like a rut in life. I was a teenage mom, so the life I live now wasn't even imaginable. So I know what it's like to pull yourself out of something like that, but I kind of want to be a lifeline to other people, be the help that I wish that I had, so it's personal. Yeah.
Absolutely. Where were you influenced in that way to give and serve in the way in which you do?
So I think great parents, live with my parents, but I believe the legacy started with my grandparents, because I watched them come from not really good backgrounds. And then I watched them together. They opened like a travel agency in Queens, New York. So 3 years old, I was around entrepreneurs. I watched them travel the world. I watched them, help the community. I watched them be entrepreneurs. And then I'm doing the same thing, because I also have a blog. It's like seewhatIsee.blog. And I travel all over the world, but I'm led to these places for transformation. So it literally is, I think I would have to say now, when I think about it, just the legacy is in me. It's like in my DNA, and I've seen it all my life. So, and I want other people to experience that, because some people they just don't know. And some people just aren't as strong to get through it. So that's what I think about as well. Like whatever I'm saying now could help someone who's just like at their breaking point. So that's where it came from.
It sounds like you're from a family of generational chain builders, as opposed to breaking generational chains. You all, because I'm not to imagine your age, but if I were to just guess, like your grandparents had their own business in the 50s or the 60s?
It was the 70s and the 80s.
The 70s and the
80s
80s?
and the 90s, yeah. They had like literally the cleaners, the travel agency. So from the age where I could like, I believe 7 working. And so I'm seeing, diversity. I'm working with
Yeah.
people. So it literally is like generations of, and then if people weren't owning businesses, they either worked on Wall Street. So I come from a line of some really strong.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, like my
And so this
mom
baby
worked
that
on, yeah.
go ahead. Tell me
Oh
about your
no,
mom.
my parents they worked on Wall Street, but my grandparents and that generation they owned businesses. So it was like multi-level. Now you see why I do so. It's literally
My
that's how my
Lanta,
brain works.
your babies. Oh my goodness, they're going to run the world.
Well, I
It's
have
it's
my
it's
my
destined.
daughters are 26 and 32, and I have a grandson that's 5. I found the fountain of youth.
Clearly. Okay, let's jump into what you're putting in your body because I'm looking at your face thinking there's no way you could have been a grandmother. So let's talk about how we need to eat in this mindfulness shift because you have you've got a grandbaby and then you have tell me again the ages of your daughters.
26 and 32. Yeah,
26 and 32.
32.
And what are
So
they doing?
oh, living life. They
Running small
don't care.
countries?
I'm sorry.
I said, what are they doing? Running small countries?
On all sides of the continent.
Right. Oh my goodness.
Very ambitious like me. Very ambitious.
Of course they are. Of course they are. So that's an incredible lineage that you're from. You've definitely had the opportunity to see what it's like to have your hard work turn into success. And so it's clear at 3 years old, And I imagine that your grandparents are African-American?
Yeah, they're African-American. Yeah.
In the 70s with their own company? Like what they had to go through?
Serial entrepreneur. Yeah, and these were brick and mortars. So these were before internet, and the companies they had, it was like maybe 20 years, and then they retired to North Carolina, which is where I'm at now. So yeah, I just grew up around it.
And then your parents in Wall Street.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I would go to the office on Wall Street as a kid.
My goodness. Okay. Well, it's clearly in you. It was there was a seed planted very early for you to be this successful. My gosh. All right. So let's talk about your journey. So you had a child in your teens.
Yeah.
Tell me about the journey from there.
Yeah. So the journey from there, I had a child as a teenage mom, and I went through life. I was kind of like in hamster wheel mode. Got married young, now divorced, but went through life, did what everybody said I was supposed to do. But I was in that hamster wheel, right? So I remember, I think it was 2008. I was laying like on the couch, and I remember it must have been an eagle because like the wings like made shadows. And I remember looking up, and I was like, "What is it? I wonder what it feels like to just be free like that and fly." You know what I mean? I literally said that. Fast forward, I think maybe 6 months later, I enrolled into the University of Phoenix. And someone just told me, they read one of my features last week, and they're like, Janice, how ironic is it you saw a bird and then you became a phoenix? I was like, I didn't even think that. Like, this just the journey is just does not lie. You know what I mean? And from there, just putting people together, then what's already in me, I've been able to do the things that I'm doing now. But that's how the journey started. And there's more along the way. I know we'll get into it, but it was like literally saw a bird and became a phoenix. I was like, oh my gosh. Talk about connecting the dots.
Exactly. With the tagline, we rise. And you're seeing wings thinking, I wonder what it's like to fly.
Yes. And here I am.
And you were flying, quite literally. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's dive into more of your success. I want to talk selfishly about your book. I want to talk about you as an expert in nutrition.
Right. So
Tell me more.
There's a story. You want to hear the backstory?
I do.
So I can't remember the year, but I was having a lot of stomach pains. So I went to the doctor and they kept, nothing against doctors, of course, but this is my experience. Went to the
Mhm.
doctor. They kept giving me medicine. They were like, okay, you're still having these pains. And they're like, okay, well, let's take your gallbladder out. And I remember when I was in the waiting room and the nurse came rushing to me and she was like, they're fighting over you. And I was like, who's fighting over me? And they were like, the anesthesiologist, because you're a healthy one. And I'm like, I don't know, everything just click, 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 click. And to me, I wasn't in the best shape, but
Hmm.
you know what I mean? And to say, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you just don't think about, I hate to say this, but you don't think about, okay, if I wasn't as healthy, would I not have gotten a more senior, anesthesiologist? Then you think about, when you're, all these things are in my head, like, oh my gosh, like when they said that, like I could not have, maybe I wouldn't have woken up, because of my health, not a
Right.
number, the health, you know what I mean? So from there, that was like my catalyst. Like, oh my God, I gotta get healthy. I gotta take everybody with me.
Right.
So I got my certification to be a wellness coach. And then I dug a little deeper and went into the veganism route, only because from a personal experience, I just wasn't with the medicines. And I just, just felt like it was a little bit too much experimental things. So it was just a conscious
Mhm.
decision that I made. And everybody's entitled to their decision, but it has been the most gratifying journey I've ever taken. It's almost like it's taken, because if you look at my picture now from when I was in my 20s, I look younger now. You know what I mean? So it was a personal experience that led. So that's where the passion comes from, because I know what it feels like to feel defeated. And you don't have to be going through something as dramatic, but sometimes we just don't feel comfortable, and not with a number, just with
Right.
ourselves. You know what I mean? So with our energy, so that's where that passion comes from. I told you everything is personal. It's just layers of personal.
Well, and I think that's what makes it so powerful
Yeah,
because it's personal, you're passionate about it. Because it's
absolutely.
personal, you're driven. Because it's personal, you want other people to have the knowledge that you have to keep them safe and to keep
Right.
them healthy. And that's better than any corporate, tagline. I mean, there's nothing better than knowing that someone is working on something, doing something because they're passionate about humanity having that information to stay healthy, to stay here and have a longer, happier life.
Right. And I want to give people choices. I want people to know they have choices. I'm one of those
Mm.
people, because I was around my family, men and women who challenge things in a healthy way. So I'm the one that was like, well, what about this? And I researched this. But some people don't know that they can do that. So it's just also just giving them choices. Like, think about it like this. This is where the mind shift comes in. Well, what about this? Or what about this perspective? So I was always that kid, like, but why do we have to do it this way? Like, I know you guys did it
Mm.
30 years that. So I'm that person, and I want people to know, and I want to, show them what I've learned so that they know, oh, wait a minute, I can ask this, or I didn't think about that. So that's where the mind shift comes in.
The why, wanting
Yes.
to know the why. That'll
Yeah.
always get you to a good
Yeah.
place.
Right.
Always get you. I mean, irritate my parents at the beginning, but always get you to a good place.
And look at you now, though.
Oh my goodness. Well, listen, this podcast is about you and how
Oh,
incredibly successful you are already and the path that you're taking. I'm so excited to hear about what's next. But before I get there, you decided to be a naturalist, it seems, right? So you don't take medicine.
I take medicine like Tylenol, but the
Hmm.
route they were going, it was more permanent. You know what I mean? Like, let's just do this forever. So I'm a holistic.
Okay.
So that means I do believe in a 50-50 balance, but only to get me to a point where I don't need it anymore. But this certain situation, it was just more, let's just do this forever. And I'm like, well, let's just not. Well, let's just do some
Right.
other thing. Yeah.
Right.
And but some people I have seen that they didn't like, I didn't know I can, question, or, you know what I mean? In a healthy way. So that's where a lot of my mindset comes in to help people.
Tell us what you tell others and how to advocate for yourself.
So the first thing, when people don't know how to advocate for themselves, I'm always trying to do healthy balances, right? You know, the basis of all of my nutrition comes from all health starts in the gut. All of it starts there. So it is okay to, take, what you're given, but also your 50 is also, okay, when you go home, how can I clean up my diet? How can I clean up my system? You know what I mean? So that your body can work a little bit quicker to where you don't need it. Sometimes you do, but that's that 50-50. And then as you start feeling better, you just talk to the doctors about alternatives. You know what I mean? And it's just asking. You don't even have to know the answer. Just ask the question. And it forces people to give you different answers. But when you go home, it's your responsibility too to do your end so that it can work and you don't need it as much.
Well, let's talk about how you can encourage people to start, because your book is about, is it 12 green smoothies?
Yeah, it's 12 in there. Yes. Yeah. It's 10 days and then it's multiple smoothie options in there. Yeah. So for me, I did it more when I was first starting to get healthy, but now I notice that I don't need it as much because I eat so clean. I'm 100% vegan. So I eat very, very clean where I don't need it. But sometimes I tell people do it twice a season, just see how your body reacts to it. But the whole basis of it is to slow down your digestive system, to give your body the chance to clear out those toxins and detox, to actually, yeah, that's what it does. It's slowing down your immune system. And when your immune system is slowing down, it starts detoxifying you with whole natural foods.
Tell me about that, the mindfulness aspect of it. Tell me about, because you also have the affirmation diet.
So I've been doing this all my life, but this really hit home for me, the mind shift piece. What year was it? I think maybe 2021 or 2022. My girlfriend said, I'm going to go to this retreat in Guatemala. I felt like I just need to go with you. And she looked at me like I was crazy. And she was like, it's a yoga retreat. I didn't do yoga at the time. So it was a form of yoga called Kundalini. I was there for 7 days. And by the second day, I was looking for flights to go home. By the 5th day, and I'm like, wow, like my mind, I feel really good. Like there's something to this. By the 7th day, I was in. So that was 2022, 2025. Every morning at 4:00, I have never missed my own Kundalini yoga. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the mind shift came in, because I saw the power of, and you could do it your way, I tell people, but the power of doing something to clear your mind to start the day, because nothing works. The food doesn't work. Nothing works unless. That's where the mind shift came in. I'm like, wait a minute, I got to rethink this. That's where my pivot came in, where I kind of rebranded my company, because I'm like, okay, this can't just be about food anymore, because I've tapped into something else. You know what I mean? And I've always known about the affirmations, but it was an intuitive pull that pulled me there so I can see this mind thing. So then when I started doing my coaching sessions with my clients, it was more geared to the mind, and the food part I kind of almost threw in just to play with it. But once they balance the mind, limiting beliefs and just learning how to feel good within yourself, you know what I'm saying? Their goals, their nutrition goals was like this. And I'm like, wow, the brain is more powerful than the gut. The brain is more powerful. And literally when I studied Kundalini, there is actually a connection from the brain to the gut, but it starts here and it goes here. Yeah.
So you have to start with the mind.
Yes. Everything. So it doesn't start in the gut. There's the layers I had to build onto. It starts here. So once here is clear. And then I noticed too, after I started doing my mind stuff, my nutrition goals, my weight, everything was easy. When I say easy, I put forth the effort, but it wasn't a strain. It wasn't, oh, I have to. It wasn't, I get to. Oh, I get to do this workout. It literally, that's how I see it, and everything. I'm like, wow, I'm meeting my goals. Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah.
That push, that integrity of saying, look, I made a commitment. I'm gonna put it in at least until I can get a flight. If they call me and say, hey, there's a flight, I may make it jump on that. But as long as I'm here, I'm going to do the thing.
Right.
And that has to be true. I'm going to show up. And that in itself is so powerful.
Yeah, with a good attitude, I'm going to show up. I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to be a positive influence where no matter where I'm at. I may sit in the back row, but the energy I'm going to give is going to be that's going to encompass the goal always, everything I do. And I have, and that's part of like the choose you rebellion, because I allowed myself to have my fit in my room. And that's where it was. I gave myself time so that I could, release that, because it was, releasing things and then show up. You know what I mean? So that's important in everything I do.
Well, let's jump into Choose You, because not only is it your new book, but it's also the current podcast.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't even know where that came from. I don't even remember what part of the journey,
Part of the journey. Part of the
Yeah.
journey. So tell us more about Choose You and the mission behind it, because you were speaking about it earlier and it was moving to me. So tell me more about the mission of what it is that you want other people to receive and learn and get from that. That and the book and the podcast.
Yeah, so the book it's a work in progress, but the podcast and the whole mission, and because I'm going to be doing like free guides to like roll it out, but the whole thing is, the basis of it is, I frame it like emotional overdraft, and it's just trying to be a million things for a million people instead of just being okay with who you are in whatever moment you're in it. You know what I mean? So it literally is, let's take the mask off, let's take the armor off, let's just, what I'm saying? Let's just take a deep breath, and it's that unshakable relief. Because sometimes it's not all about joy. Sometimes it's not all about that. We're here to have a balance. You know what I mean? The balance is, sometimes I'm in a bad mood, sometimes I'm in a good mood, and whatever phase I'm in, I'm allowed to be there. You know what I mean? So that's that. It's giving people, it's a permission slip. That's what I call it. It's a permission slip. To live your authentic self, and authenticity does not mean happy. Sometimes it's just whatever I'm feeling. So that's the heart and the anchor of it. And so all the variables around it lead to it in different ways, showing people how to do that. So it literally is like a 5-step. It's like the fracture point, because the story behind the fracture point for me is where it began. Is just that when I just let everything fall apart, I just let everything fall apart so that I can show up. You know what I mean? So it was just like it was like I was on a tightrope, and I was just like juggling, and it was just, I couldn't do it anymore. So so that's the fracture point. That's where Choose You begins, when you allow yourself to just break open. You know what I mean? And then from there, it's all about the transformation. And that's where it gets fun. That's where you get to like relearn yourself. You know what I mean? So that's the basis, the anchor, and the start of it.
My goodness. Now, I think one of my favorite things that you said was that this may be one of the realest things you've ever written. From the person who's driven by your passion coming from your experiences and wanting to ensure that others are healthy, safe, and living their best life. That must mean that this particular book, choosing yourself, came from an experience of your own, in which you had to take the mask off and embrace whatever feelings were happening. Tell me about that journey to creating this book, as you're still designing it, and the podcast, to which you were leading people and guiding them through and out of a situation similar to your own.
Right. So I think every milestone has led to this point. So when I talk to you about the teenage mom, when I talk to you about seeing the bird and becoming a phoenix, from learning the mind shift. So all those were building blocks for me that I kind of packaged into this Choose You. So it wasn't one thing, it was multiple things and I think alongside every milestone, I became stronger and chips were falling off. So it was chipping, right? And then I just came to a point in life where I was doing so much and I was accomplishing so much, but I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. Everybody else felt it, but I'm just like, okay, I'm not even having fun with this. This is like, I'm taking this too seriously. So it was just like the weight. It was a lot of weights that came with the milestones. So I just dropped the weights. And with me dropping the weights, I never would have done Choose You 2 years ago. It was too raw, too real. It wasn't perfect enough. You know what I mean? So when I got to the point where I just let it all fall, And I don't think it was one thing, it was multiple things. And it was just time.
You saw the wings and thought, how, man, I wish I knew how to fly. And then came to University of
Yeah.
Phoenix and became a
And I
Phoenix.
didn't put that together until someone, I think it's April, I think it is. She works at the University of
She
Phoenix. Do
does.
you know April?
I do.
Yeah. So her and I worked, Paul, and myself, we worked together because I have the chapter. And she said, Janice, how cool is it? You saw a bird and became a fish. I said, I never put that together.
She's amazing. It makes sense that she was the
Yes.
one to point it out.
Oh my God.
So when you were here at University of Phoenix, learning how to fly, tell me, what was your experience like and how did you balance all of that while going to school?
It was the most, what's the word? It was an opportunity of an experience because at that time, my younger daughters, they were like in soccer practice, they were in like dance recital. So I'd be on the soccer field on the sidelines, posting homework and, juggling. But you make time for what you want. I always tell people, you make time for what you want. So whether it be I had to wake up early in the morning before work or, bring my laptop to work, I just made it work because I knew there was something on the other side of that. I just had this feeling, and I never took a break. So I just went full time forever until I finished. I didn't have any breaks. So I was working through holiday. Like I never, like when the class stopped, like the next Monday, I was doing another class because I was okay, there's something on the other side of this. I'm going to need this and use this for something. So what happened was I landed a job it was the world's third largest chemical company, and a job that would take me to places like the Philippines. It would take me to be a guest speaker in like Budapest. So literally using the degree and working for global companies, and that's what I do now. In the export and chemicals field. So to add all of that, everything I do in addition to that.
Oh my goodness. So all of the nutrition, the certificates for marketing as well, all of the mind shift is secondary to the fact that you also work in the corporate world.
Full time. Yeah, full time. Yes. For the degree though, but how what a blessing for the degree that I studied for in Phoenix. It's bringing me one of the things bringing me all over the globe. It was like amazing. You can't make this up. So there's no reason why I should not be paying this forward. You know what I mean? There's like no reason whatsoever.
If any of our listeners or viewers were thinking, why would in this economy, in this environment where there is AI, and I could ask it a quick question, or I could have a robot build my resume or something along those lines. Why would you say that someone should go to school, should get a college degree, and why do you think that it could possibly be the best choice to come to University of Phoenix?
The number one thing is experience trumps AI. Like, you can robotically speak from AI, but to be able to talk experience and use experience, and that's what I currently do. I make myself, I create lanes, I make, experience and being able to pivot and navigate that lane does what AI can't do.
Right.
And that's what I got at Phoenix. And that's what you sell. And I would also tell people, don't just sell the skill-based stuff, sell your skill sets. This is what I bring. You know what I mean? It's like reading comprehension versus skill-based. Okay, yeah, you can say yes or no, but give me some levels, give me some flavor. And that's what attracts companies.
If you were to leave anything on the table for our listeners and our viewers, what would that be?
Choose you. Choose that burning desire and do it with that tunnel vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know whatever success means to them, but just the only thing I could leave is like, choose yourself, focus on yourself, and drown out the noise. Because that's where it starts. You have to start with choosing yourself and knowing what you want, and then having tunnel vision. You know what I mean? Because it's different to so many people. But if you just, and that's part of the mind shift. It's just like, I tell people, like any situation that's draining you, if you just ask this one question, what is this here to teach me? You know what I'm saying? And it always is, I want to be happy. Well, how do you want to be happy? What's happy to you? So that's why, ask yourself that question, what is this here to teach me? How can I be happy? That's literally where it starts. And from there, it just keeps going and going, and it never stops.
Somehow that brings us to the end of this episode of the Degrees of Success podcast. You heard it here directly from Janice. You need to focus and choose you, tunnel vision, focus on your goals. I can't imagine better advice. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Frida Richards, reminding you that your next chapter just might be your best one yet. See you soon.